welcome to a new YouTube video. This is Kylie or I have Kai Creations, and today we are doing a gouache painting. I also want to go ahead and just say sorry in advance if my voice sounds a little funny. I have really bad allergies this morning, so I might sound a little congested, so yeah, just sorry. So now that I got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the supplies I used for this video. So the paper I used was that little clip at the beginning. It's like an Artist Loft mixed media paper pad. It did okay. I would say it did its job, but it did like wrinkle quite a bit after the fact. Just kind of personal preference there. If you get really annoyed like I do when your paper wrinkles, then maybe don't pick this paper. But if you can just look past it and be like, oh, okay, whatever, then this might be good for you. It was pretty cheap. I'm not going to say a price because I don't remember and I will totally get it wrong. But it was relatively cheap. Most Artist Loft things at Michael's are pretty inexpensive and they do the job. So, yeah. And then the gouache I'm using is the Arteza. I might totally be botching the name on that, but the watercolor palette, I showed you the little pamphlet at the beginning there. This is also, I believe, from Michael's if I remember correctly. So, yeah, I shop at Michael's, obviously. It's just usually the art store that's closest to me, and yeah, so I would say the gouache is okay. It's cheap gouache, so it acts like cheap gouache. I would love to invest in some nicer gouache eventually, but that's okay. And then for the sketch, I just used a Prismacolor colored pencil. I want to get like the colored pencils that erase that everyone has, or like colored pencil lead that I can put in like my mechanical pencils, because I feel like everyone has colored pencils that they can erase, but like it's actually erasing like a regular pencil. So I really want that. I just gotta figure out which ones. If you guys have any suggestions on colored pencils that erase really well that I can use for stuff like this, the under sketches, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear some suggestions of stuff you guys use. Any supplies actually. If you have better gouache that you're like, this is way better than the one you have, you should totally try it, let me know in the comments. I would love to try some new supplies. I'm always down to try new stuff. So back to the painting. My inspiration behind this little piece was I was just watching my boyfriend play RDR2, which great game by the way. I'm obsessed, but I personally am absolutely terrible at video games. So a lot of times I watch other people play video games and I find it so entertaining. Like as a kid, I would watch my dad or my sisters play video games because I was just so bad that it was more fun to watch someone else play. The one game I'm semi okay at is Mario Brothers, if that tells you anything. I am just really bad at video games. I can't do it. And I also can't focus. If I'm the one playing, I get bored really easily. So I will just watch other people play and then like draw at the same time. So I was sketching on my iPad when I was watching my boyfriend play RDR2, and I came up with this like just fun little idea to paint someone playing video games late at night. Just like a little scene I kind of made up in my head, which I don't do this very often, so I was very proud of myself. But yeah. I would say the hardest part of not having a reference for me is not having a reference for like the lighting. I struggle with lighting. I have not studied it enough to understand it very well. Like I can, the basic concept, of course, if the light's coming from this way, this is lit. But like just certain things with lighting is very difficult for me. So deciding which things would have like little highlights and where the darks would be and how much of a highlight things would have, that was more of a me decision because I didn't have a reference to tell me where those things should go. So yeah, it was a lot of trial and error, so you'll see a lot of things change color and brightness as we go here, but it ends up looking pretty good. I think I did a pretty good job, honestly. So, as we're watching the process here, I would say the biggest thing I notice is that I'm working in a lot of layers. Layers are a really big thing, especially in gouache. It is a big part of the medium. So you start with, for those of you don't know, most people know, but for those of you that don't know, you start with a very thin layer, watered down layer, and you're supposed to build your way up. I have not perfected that practice. I have a hard time with the in between. I can get the really light, watery base down, and then I can build up from there. But I tend to accidentally go too thick with my paint before I'm ready to have my paint be that thick, because with gouache, it is reactivated by water. So if you go too thick too soon and then you go back in with a thinner layer that has more water, you're probably going to pick up the paint that's underneath. And for certain techniques, that might be the goal. Like when I'm blending, I do that a little bit on purpose. But overall, that's not the goal. And I don't want it to do that. So that is a bit tricky for me, and I haven't quite got a good grasp on that yet. And this painting was from at least a couple months ago. I couldn't tell you exactly when, but I recently did a gouache painting of a character from RDR2, and I did okay, but I did have this same problem where I was struggling to not pick up the layers underneath. So this is something I need to practice and get a little better at so I can understand the medium better. And I'll totally get there eventually. I just think I take a really long time to learn things before I can master them. And I learn by, instead of doing like studies, which this could be, I guess, considered a study, but I prefer to just go all in. Like the first time I used gouache, I painted a whole like fruit still life, which is technically a study, but instead of like practicing like my lines and my consistency, how I probably should, I just kind of go in and start something because I'm gonna have more fun practicing and learning that way than I am by just practicing the same thing over and over and over again until I get better at it. And that might be a little backwards because I know a lot of studying is just repeating the same things over and over again until you understand something. So, I mean, I'm technically doing that, just like in a full blown scale. Like, I'm doing full finished pieces every time to practice, which is fine. I think it works best for me because it keeps my attention long enough. But I know that some people might not be able to do it this way, and it might be different for everyone. So, yeah, it's kind of personal preference and me just being stubborn. Like, I don't want to study and I don't want to practice the way I probably should. I just want to go in and paint full finished pieces. So, yeah. We are at the point in the painting where I'm kind of in the middle. We are not quite to the point where we're doing details, highlights, and things, but we are at the point where I've picked most of my colors, almost everything is laid out, and I'm just filling in the last few spots that still have paper showing through. Honestly, once I get to this part, this is when I start getting really excited for my painting because all of the thought process behind the painting, the sketching, the layout, that's done. And I am just basically executing my idea at this point. And yeah, it's really fun. And even though I love the journey of painting as I should, I do feel like having that finished piece where I'm like really proud of it, that's one of my favorite parts of art. Like, I know you should enjoy the creating part the most, and I do sometimes, but I really just, when I'm done, I'm like, wow, like, I did that. And I thought of that. I sketched that. I painted that, whatever the case is. That's one of my favorite parts, is just being in awe of like wow, I took the time and the effort to make that, and this is how it turned out. Like, wow, you know? It's just like a sense of, I guess, pride is probably the best word. Like, I immediately get excited and I'm like, I want to go show this to my boyfriend. I want to go show this to my sister. Which, speaking of sister, we want to just go ahead and give a shout out to my little sister, Cadence. She has been such a big help during this whole process of starting my YouTube channel and just my artistic journey. She helps me a lot. She critiques my work for me. She helps me when I need help with like ideas. And especially with the YouTube channel, she's been like my second pair of eyes for a lot of stuff. And I have her help me on a lot of stuff. Like, hey, can you look at this, please? So she's been a great, great help. And I really, really appreciate everything she's helped me with. And yeah, I just wanted to give her a little shout out in the video just to let her know, like, thinking of you, girl, and thank you so much for all your help. So, yeah. While we're thanking people, I want to go ahead and thank all of you who are still watching the video this far in, and anyone who has subscribed to the channel and watched any of my other videos and liked or commented. I really appreciate everyone, and I really want to make this YouTube thing work and keep putting my art out to the world so people can see it and people can get inspired like I do when I watch other creators. So once again, thank you guys so, so much. And if this is your first video of mine that you're watching, feel free to subscribe, like, comment. It's all very much appreciated, and I post art content, art challenges, art processes, sketchbook tours. That's kind of the realm of things I'm going to be posting in the future. And I do have 2 other videos up already if you want to go watch those 2. So yeah, thank you guys so, so much again. And now back to the painting. So I apparently decided that the original color, the original like pinkish color, was not bright enough, or sorry, saturated enough. So I went ahead and mixed that original color with a hot pink, kind of neonish pink color from my gouache palette. There's like a set of neons, so this is the neon pink, I believe. And I mixed that with the original color to get this kind of toned down neon. See, yep, here are the 2 colors I'm mixing. Perfect. And honestly, I'm so glad I did this because it just makes it pop a lot more. I really like the color choice, and especially with the highlights and things like I'm doing now on the other parts of the painting. I just think it looks really nice. It's a bit more saturated and it just pops more. I'm finally painting in, looks like the controller here, and then just like highlights everywhere, and the TV as well. Finishing that up because the TV, the white part, took quite a few layers. And it still wasn't exactly how I wanted it, but it just took so many layers of the white to get it even kind of how I wanted it that I was just like, done. And then I mixed a lighter color of that like pinkish tone or pinkish color that I used everywhere else for some more highlights to kind of differentiate, especially the blanket from the floor there. I felt like they were way too similar. And now, of course, just finishing little touches, which is funny I'm doing that when there's things I haven't even painted that are still paper showing through. But I'm kind of when I'm painting or just working in general, I'm kind of all over the place always. Especially with gouache though, because I want to make sure everything has a nice chance to fully dry, so that's why I'm hopping around a lot in this. Honestly though, I think that's probably for the best. A lot of times I find it beneficial to do something or paint something, whatever, and then walk away for a while and then come back. Even overnight, like especially I'm going to relate this to my photo editing. When I'm editing photos and I'm staring at the same photo for so long, it's not going to look the same when I'm staring at it for an hour versus if I walk away, come back the next morning and I look at it again, I'm going to be like, "Oh, either one, it's not going to look how I thought. Two, I'm going to see something like, oh, let me just tweak this and it'll be good." You know, it's good to take a break from things and come back later and be like, oh, let's fix this, or let's do this instead, or wow, what was I thinking last night at 2 a.m.? It's better to take a break. Always, if you have the time, if you're not rushing through a project, take a break. If you are struggling with something, take a break. It's usually going to help you so much in the long run to walk away from something and come back than to can just sit there and just keep trying and trying and trying and trying. I get it because I'm the same way. I like to just keep trying until I get it right, but I've realized through practice that walking away and coming back later is ultimately more beneficial to you than to just keep going. In my personal opinion, I believe that to be true. You might work a different way, but if you are struggling, try that out. Try walking away and coming back the next day. Try walking away and coming back an hour later. Go for a walk. Go eat lunch. Go, do whatever. Go watch a TV show or go watch a YouTube video for a minute and then come back with a clear head, I guess maybe is what makes it so beneficial. That's honestly why a lot of my paintings, especially my bigger paintings, take me multiple days to do. I just think it's better. I think it's better to spread the work out than to work really hard on something for 24 hours straight. You're going to wear yourself out. You're going to wear your artistic mind out. Your hand, your shoulder, your back. Oh my gosh. Save your back. Take a break. Especially if you're like me and you hunch over your work because you can't see very well. I definitely recommend taking a break, especially for your mind and your body. I'll stop talking about that finally, but take a break, guys. And back to the painting. We are almost finished. We are just adding our final little touches here, like the foam cord, some highlights, and just all the final little details. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video as much as I did making it. This was a really fun piece, and I am very interested in incorporating this kind of lighting into another piece, maybe on a bigger scale or on a more complex scale. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you're interested in more content like this, go ahead and subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I will catch you guys next week. Bye, friends.